This is a ManeHustle Media podcast.
When people ask me, what is Black Radical Queer Podcast? I tell them that BRQ is a show for Black queer folks to tell our own stories on our own terms. So it's a show where we're not objects or sidekicks or props or any of those things. We are the subjects. And so we're the narrators of our own stories, as we should be. And that's radical in a world that seeks to silence us every chance they get.
All the way from the A, you listen to my favorite lesbian on BRQ.
Hey, stay locked in with your favorite lesbian on Black Radical Queer. Yeah.
Hey y'all, this is Jhavia Nicole, aka your favorite lesbian, and you're listening to Black Radical Queer Podcast, our stories on our own terms. Hey y'all, this is Jhavia Nicole. Welcome back to another episode of Black Radical Queer Podcast. So I know that recently I have been, talking about some pretty heavy stuff. And in general, on BRQ, we address some stuff that can be pretty heavy because that's the reality of, what we go through. However, what I wanted to do was something a little lighter. I know that I asked you all to share your some of your dating experiences with me. What were your best and worst dates? And I thought that that could be something that, we could have an episode about that could be a little bit lighter, maybe a little funny. It's something that can have some serious implications, but in general can kind of be more of a, not necessarily a super heavy topic. So yeah, I wanted to do an episode on that, and you all came through with some of your dating experiences, so I'll be sharing those, and I'll share, a little bit of my experiences, but hopefully y'all enjoyed the episode. So first of all, I just want to shout out everyone who submitted their dating experiences. Y'all had me cracking up, and it's just crazy some of the stuff that we go through in the dating experience. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and share some dating experiences that I received from y'all. So I want to start with the worst dates, because hopefully I can kind of start with that and then end on a brighter note. So let me tell y'all, I'll tell y'all about one of my worst date experiences. And it is, okay, first of all, I was young. So I'm 31 now. At this time I was probably 16. So I'm going to just preface it by saying that. Okay, so yeah, I just want to preface it with that. So at this time, I was 16. Like I said, I was in high school, and I met this girl on a chat line. See, strike number one. Don't judge my life. All right. So I met this girl on the chat line, and so we decided to meet up in person. And so I had to go to school that day. I decided to kind of dress up a little bit, I was, feeling cute or whatever. And I was just really excited. So got all dolled up. And so we agreed to meet where I went to school. Well, one of the schools I went to, I was near a train station, walking distance from the train station. And apparently where she worked, she was also walking distance from that same train station. So because, I had never met her in person before, I wanted to meet her in a public place. And I'm like, okay, train station, it's kind of a central point for both of us. So let's just meet there and we'll go to our date or whatever from there. So I was like, okay, cool. So it was after school. It's time for me to meet her. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. So I go to the train station. I'm waiting on her. And mind you, we had exchanged pictures, but this was not the time of video chatting. That was later. So because this was 2004, I think this was 15. Oh my God. It was like 15 years ago. So yeah, we weren't like, technology wasn't quite there yet. That wasn't like a common thing that we did. So, but we had like, sent each other pictures or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm looking for this person and I don't see her. So I'm just like, okay, I hope I don't, get stood up or whatever. And then I keep seeing this chick who keeps kind of like looking at me, but I didn't really pay any mind or whatever. So then finally some time passes. I still don't see her. And I start to text her, and I send a text and I hear someone say Jhavia, like, kind of say my name. And I look back and it's this chick who I had seen before, who I was like, I noticed had been looking at me. Like, she had kind of looked down at her phone and then looked at me and was like, Jhavia. And I was like, so the issue was that I didn't know it was her because she did not look like the picture. This person who came to meet me was not the person in the picture. So y'all, in the year of our Lord, 2004, I got catfished. Yeah. But I knew it was her because like I recognized the voice. Like when she said my name, I was like, oh, that's her. But bruh, the her that was standing in front of me was not the her in the pictures. So, and this person who showed up, I was not attracted to. So I was like, oh my God. So yeah, and this was before, the term catfish was even a thing, but that's what happened, y'all. I got catfished. But me, I was trying to be like nice and play it cool or whatever. And I didn't really know what to do. Like, it was such an awkward situation. So I was like, oh, hey, or whatever. And then like, she tried to like give me a hug. I gave her like a church hug because I was like, oh my God, I don't know. It just really caught me off guard. So I was like, okay. So she was like, okay, I need to stop by my job and pick up something. I don't know, get her stuff, do whatever she had to do. She had to stop by her job for some reason. And she was like, but after that we can go. And she worked, not too far from the station, just like I said, which was also not far from where we were supposed to be, because we were supposed to go have like pizza. And I was trying to be smart. Like, I chose this because I'm like, this is a public place. The pizza place is a place I'm familiar with. Someone knows where I am, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just was like, I wasn't trying to go anywhere crazy. And if I needed to leave, I wanted to be able to leave and not be dependent on riding with somebody or something like that. So anyway, so she was like, I need to go to my job and pick up whatever, and then, go to the place. And I was like, okay. So this whole time, so we walk over to her job, because her job, it was like the train station, and then the pizza place was kind of like on the street, like right across the street from the station. And then on the next street, like behind it, so the next parallel street was where she worked. So I didn't realize it was that close. Like, it was really close. It was kind of like a rec center or a gym, or kind of like a YMCA type of place. I don't remember exactly, but I want to say rec center. It's that kind of thing. They had like a pool and all kind of stuff, all kind of like community rooms. And it was really nice. And it was actually fairly new, because I remember being interested in maybe like trying to get a job there. But anyway, I digress. So, so we went to her job, and then it was like some of her friends / coworkers there, just kind of chilling in one of the community rooms. 'Cause it was like toward the end of their shift. Like, it was about time for the place to be closing for the day. And, so she was like, 'cause it was maybe 6 PM or something, or 5 at this point, maybe like 5:30, something like that. So, and I think the place maybe closed at 6. So I saw her people there. And so when we came in, they were like, oh, okay. Like, it was just interesting. So it was like a group of maybe 4 people, 4 women. It was like 3 kind of more masculine of center women, and then 1 like femme woman, or girl. I mean, we were all young. So anyway, so they were all there, and they're like, okay, like, when we walked in, like, oh, okay, so this is what you've been telling us about, and oh, okay. And saying like, oh, that's you, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God. It was very awkward for me, because I was like, I'm not feeling this. But then, y'all, I see one of her friends, and her friend was fine as hell. And I was like, oh my God. And then like me and her friend kind of kept looking at each other. And I was trifling. It just was trifling, because we were kind of like being flirty with each other. But I was trying not to, because I didn't want to hurt the girl's feelings. But I was not feeling it. And so, yeah, so I ended up pulling her to the side because I also didn't want to go have dinner with her. Like, because I mean, for one, it wasn't just that I wasn't attracted to her. She had lied to me. So I felt some kind of way about her, like lying to me or whatever. And I didn't feel like she was a bad person or anything, but I just felt a way. I felt some kind of way about that. So I pulled her to the side and was like, why weren't you honest with me? Blah, blah, blah. And, all that good stuff. So yeah, like we talked about it, whatever. And I was like, well, we can be cool or whatever, but I feel like you misled me and blah, blah, blah. So that was, one of my worst dates. I know I was young, but I got catfished. Like, come on now. Like, it's crazy. So that was interesting for me. But what really made, like, it just made it bad because I felt like I was deceived. I mean, something good came out of it, I guess, because I ended up like hitting it off for her friend. But that's trifling. Hey, I was young, so give me a little leeway because I was a little trifling. Because I sure did talk to her friend. But, okay, so next I want to share a worst date experience from Serene. And this is crazy. Like, oh my gosh. So I'm just going to read what Serene sent in. Okay. Worst date was in my very early 20s. I had just recently come out to my family, and my mother, who will forever think she's 21, and my wing woman, gave my information to some girl she met out and about, whom I later found out was actually trying to hit on her. Okay, here we go with the foolishness already. When she called, we didn't talk long. There wasn't anything really interesting said, and then she kind of swiftly set up a date and rushed me off the call. Me being dumb, I'm all excited and not at all giving the mild offense any thought. So the day comes, she picks me up, and I realize that nothing was actually set up. We spent about an hour just driving around trying to find something to do. At this point, I was still living with the assumption that because she identified as a stud and had asked me out, that she would, like plan everything. Finally, I asked if everything was all right, and she basically told me that she lives with her ex and they had gotten into a fight and that she wasn't feeling the night. I asked if she just wanted to end it and go home, and she was more than happy to do so. By the time I got home, I felt so gut-wrenched and deflated that I just went to sleep and never really spoke about the night. We actually talked the next day, and she started talking about how she wasn't into me and that she's sure I'm a nice girl, but that she was still in love with her ex and not wanting anything new right now, which could have been a mature and honest conversation and learning experience had her ex not been sitting right there stifling laughter on the other end. Y'all, like, that's so ridiculous for many reasons. And then so number one, if you still, shacking up with your ex and all this kind of stuff, and why you even hitting on my mom, let alone setting up a date with me and going through all these motions, that's extra. Like, she doing the most. Okay, and then one of my former classmates, Shaquita, shared one of her worst dates. She said, my worst date, the guy ordered my food, told me not to drink because it was unladylike, ordered fish for me, and I hate fish. I told him I don't eat fish. He said, you will. So he gonna tell her she gonna eat this fish. I then proceeded to order 2 shots of tequila and made my way towards the bathroom, but really the back, and left. Good. I'm glad that she dipped out on him. How you gonna tell somebody, I'm gonna order for you? First of all, don't drink. That's unladylike. I'm gonna order for you and you gonna eat it. Like, I don't even like this. You order something I don't like and you telling me I'm gonna eat it. Nope. That's why your ass got left.
Oh, child. Hey, it's your girl Alexa. Pronouns she, her, her. So let me tell you about the worst date I've had. It was with a couple. These ugly ass niggas was coming down from DC, and I feel like they wanted to be entertained. They wanted me to bust it open on the table or some shit. So they take me to dinner / dancing, and they just sit there. They never get up. They never dance. I get up. I dance because I'm cute. I'm fun. And they just kind of sit there. So after about, 10 minutes, our food comes. I eat my little food. I get up. And I fucking leave. I went to the car, put the key in the ignition, and bounced. These fools send me a text later. Let us know when you make it home safely. Like, you ugly fools knew you were boring and not entertaining, and you didn't even care. Which is why I let y'all pay that $50 check. Have a good night.
Okay, so Alexa had actually mentioned that, well, she had mentioned like another worst date, which she mentioned on the episode prior to this, but she shared a different worst date, and I was cracking up when she was telling me about it. I was like, yeah, you have to send that in for the show. So, okay, I want to get into best dates because, worst dates, of course, we deal with a lot of foolishness and drama and just, the foolishness. But, hopefully we can kind of like get on a brighter note with best dates. So, my best date experience, well, I'll say I've had a lot of worst, I don't want to say a lot of worst date experience. I've had a lot of like bad dating experiences. I've been stood up. I've just dealt with all kind of stuff, but I am glad to say that I have had a lot of good date experiences that, that kind of like overrule the bullshit. So I'm grateful for that. And a lot of those experiences have been with my wife, but I'll share like a date experience that wasn't with my wife and a date experience that was with my wife. So my best date experience that was not with my wife was when I was probably about 18 or 19, and I went out with this trans guy, and we went like to the park, and just like what was going on in the park? I don't remember. I feel like there's some type of like event or festival or something. So we just kind of like explored around there, and then we went to a restaurant, and it was really, really nice. And I remember getting there and feeling a little bit underdressed because I had just been like busy all day, and I don't know, I wasn't like wearing a dress or anything, but despite that, like, he made me feel really nice and like, like, oh no, you're not underdressed or whatever, and just was really affirming. And so we ended up sitting down to eat, got our food, did not touch our food because we were just so engrossed in conversation, and that was really enjoyable. So that was like it was simple, but it was one of my best dates because we really just took the time to actually like get to know more about each other, converse about things, to the point where we just like, our food got cold. We had to like take the food to go because we were not eating. Like, we were just so like caught up in our conversation. Another best date experience I've had, really, I mean, with my wife, I've had like a lot of good dates with her, or best dates. I don't know. It's hard to choose the best. One of our very early dates always stands out to me because I loved her attention to detail and her consideration in regards to what I enjoyed. And we went to a beer festival, and she don't even like beer like that, but she knew I like beer. So we went to a beer festival. It was cold outside. It was cold, y'all. But it was like Valentine's Day. But we went to the beer festival and had a good time. And then we went to the botanical gardens for like at nighttime. And they had this little like nice nighttime thing going on. So we like changed clothes and got kind of like all dolled up and went to that. And so it was like we basically had like a full day date or dates or whatever. I thought that the attention to detail was really nice. The consideration was really nice. And the fact that we were able to spend the day together without getting on each other's nerves and really have a good time. And, I have like quite a few like positive date experiences. My wife, because she's someone who likes to plan things, and she actually will plan dates. And so we've gotten the opportunity to, have quite a few date experiences. We've surprised each other with things. I've surprised her like with hotel stays. She surprised me with hotel, just all kinds of things. So we've gotten a chance to really date. And so that's one of the things that sets her apart from some other folks I've dealt with, because she puts a lot of effort into dates and stuff like that. So I'm like, we have a lot of quote unquote best date experiences. Okay, so I had another listener submit a best date experience, and this is Nicole. I hope I'm saying it right, from Instagram, but she said, my best date was with this guy who picked me up. We got ice cream and went to the beach. What made it great was it ended with me realizing how gay I was. When I saw that, I was cracking up because I'm like, dang, y'all had this little nice date. And she was like, oh, I'm really gay. Okay, so I also have a best date experience from Serene, which I'm glad, because I'm like, after that worst date experience with, you dealing with somebody who's still living with their ex and they was hitting on your mama and all that, I'm glad that she had gave me a best date experience too. So her best date was with this girl whom I can't for the life of me remember how we met. Before our night out, we met up at the High Museum for a live jazz show on the main floor, headed by Wynton Marsalis, whom I only know because of this night. The music was beautiful. We walked the museum after and stumbled on a live figure drawing class, which she wanted to sit in on. And as I was saying, I feel awkward being here without a book, she pulled a fresh, unopened one out of her bag with a pencil. It made me laugh. She sat and watched me draw for like 30 minutes. Then I asked if she wanted to see my favorite exhibit. Walked through it and the rest of the museum, just talking and laughing until the museum was ready to close. After we had dinner at a gastropub where we laughed and talked some more, especially when she confessed that she was a vegan almost as soon as I was about to bite into my burger. The night ended with a polite pet good night and me blushing like hell on the train ride home. I think that's so cute. That sounds like a movie date. Like, oh, we're going to the museum. And I'm a fan of museum dates. My wife and I have done that, and it's so cool. I think it's really cool to like experience like art stuff with someone. So I'm biased in that regard. Okay, Shaquita. So Shaquita was the one who was like, she dealt with a guy who was on a date telling her that she was gonna eat the fish. She don't even like fish. Okay, so her best date. She said my best date was with who's now her husband. We met online on Plenty of Fish. We went to Marlowe's Tavern. Shout out to Marlowe's. I used to go there when I lived in Atlanta. But we went to Marlowe's Tavern, got there around 9:30, had one drink. I had, like Shaquita was saying, she had one drink. He had two and something spicy. Next thing we knew, they were putting us out. We talked until they put us out. The check came. He spent maybe like $25.55, whatever the change amount was. And we made out for 20 minutes in the parking lot and he took me home. Best date ever. And it's funny because, sometimes it's like real simple stuff that can be your best date experience. Because really, it's like when I was talking about, having the conversation and, not even eating or, just having an experience where someone puts so much thought and effort into something. So a lot of times it's not even about it necessarily being extravagant, because like on the date I mentioned, I do feel like, my now wife went all out, but it wasn't because of it wasn't like the magnitude of the day or like, it was like, oh, this is fancy. It was just like the fact that the amount of thought and consideration that was put into it and the planning and stuff like that. That's what was so impressive to me, because I'm like, you're really putting forward a genuine effort to court me. And I'm all for that. So I thought that was really, really dope. So yeah. So we also have a best date experience from Alexa. So let me go ahead and share that.
What up, what up, what up? It's your girl Alexa, pronouns she, her, and hers. And listen, I'm back to tell you about the best date I ever had. The best date I ever had. So, okay. I am a DTF kind of person on the first date because I'm an adult and I'm a kinkster and I know how to negotiate things that I like. And this first date was with a Taurus, so you already know, like, I was in for a decadent night of luxury, beauty, and pleasure and comfortability. So, of course, we have dinner and drinks, and there's dancing, and then there is a beautiful night in a hotel in which I experienced my very first scene, which was beautiful and lovely and very, very kinky. And it opened the door, honestly, to more robust relationships and being able to explore BDSM philosophy, ways of thinking and living, and not just ways of coming. You feel me? But it was honestly the best date. It was the best date. I had so much fun. I looked really, really cute. Too bad that, me and him don't really fuck with each other no more. But, I still love me a good old Taurus, honey. Show me a good time.
All right. So, yeah, it's even though worst date experiences, of course, suck, but I'm hoping that, most of us can have the good outweigh the bad, or, at least balance out the bad. So, I'm really grateful that for me, I've had a lot more good to kind of make up for the bad, especially like earlier in my dating life. Definitely since I've been with my wife, I haven't really had to worry about bad dates. Yeah, so that's been a beautiful thing that I'm appreciative of. But I also want to kind of talk about some dating tips. So I'll kind of just wrap up the episode with that. So one of the things that Shaquita said was lay it all out on the table. Just like go for it. If you are interested in, like pursuing somebody, asking somebody out, or if somebody asks you out and you're willing to go, just go for it and just kind of like put yourself out there. And like either it'll go well or it won't, but you won't know, unless you actually do it. So I can agree with that. So some dating tips that I have, and I am by no means an expert, and I've been dating the same person for many years now. But still, I still think that, especially when you're first starting out dating, that these are things that I think would be good to keep in mind. So first and foremost, I would say meet in a public place, because motherfuckers be crazy, especially like, let's say, I was about to say, especially if you like met online or whatever, but regardless of where you met, like if you met at an event or whatever, I would say for your first official date, regardless of how you met, like meet in a public place. I personally would not recommend like a Netflix and chill type of situation for the first date. Even if this is just going to be like a cuddle buddy, fuck buddy, whatever type of situation, I still would not have that initial meeting be at either of our homes, like on some Netflix and chill shit. I'd be like, no, let's meet out somewhere. And if money is an issue, because I'm not one of those people who's like, there are people who are like, oh, well, if you can't afford this and the third, you shouldn't date. I think desiring companionship is a normal thing, and it's nothing wrong with wanting to date, but also being very cognizant of your means is important. And so I think if you can still like do something in a public place without you having to spend a bunch of money. So you can go to the park or the beach, something that won't cost you a bunch of money, or you can even look up like what free events are coming up and do something based on that. I know like especially in a lot of major cities, they do like free concerts in the park or free museum days or discount movie days or whatever. So you can find low or no cost things, something as simple as like, let's just have like a little mini picnic in the park, have some snacks, whatever. I think there are options, and it doesn't automatically have to be, let me go to your house or let you go to mine. And I recognize that everybody has different things going on in terms of like social anxiety or ability and means in terms of transportation and all that kind of stuff. So I am mindful of that. Again, these are just like some suggestions I think are good dating tips. For me personally, I just would not want my very first time meeting someone face to face to be at my house. Now, I'm not going to flex like I've never done that. I did it when I was a lot younger, and I didn't have anything bad happen. But I just remember like I remember one time this girl I met on, was it MySpace or Downlink? One of those places. Y'all remember Downlink? But on one of those sites, I met this girl, and then I had her meet me at my apartment, but I didn't have her come upstairs. So we actually met like in the courtyard, and even still, like I wouldn't recommend that. I just did that because I was being young and dumb, and luckily she didn't turn out to be dangerous. But I also did that because I didn't know where else to meet her, and at the time I was staying somewhere where there weren't a whole lot of things I could get to within walking distance. This was before Uber and Lyft and all that. So I didn't want to have to go very far, and she was driving. So I wasn't about to get in her car and go anywhere with her. So I just had her meet me in the courtyard. And because my roommates were home, and so you can see the courtyard from the apartment, and I kind of let them know, hey, I'm going to meet this girl, blah, blah, blah. So that made me feel more comfortable. But yeah, I would just say, even after that, like me and her were talking about it later, like, yeah, we must have been really caught up in liking each other, because we did not, like we both agree, like, yeah, we kind of were a little bit reckless. And then from that point, I didn't do that anymore. Like, I'm like, no, we're going to meet in a public place. Even if we just meet up in the park. Like, I love nature and stuff like that, so I am a proponent of the park. But another reason why I think it's good to, go to a public place and kind of meet out and about in some capacity is that I do feel like you get to learn a lot about a person from doing activities with them. And honestly, I learned this mainly with my wife, because she, is one of those people who actually plans dates and likes to do that, and who actually courted me. But I got a chance to kind of like experience these things with her. And a lot of times it was like new experiences for both of us. And so to me, it was really, it's really dope to be able to see and experience through the eyes of someone that you are dating or in a relationship with. That was really dope to me. Like for us to kind of experience the same thing or look at the same thing and have different takes on it and learn from one another and kind of share that with one another. And so I think that we were able to do that because we actually went out on dates and we didn't just like sit in the house all the time. And of course there are ways, different things you can do especially if you are differently abled and you have some limitations in terms of being able to get out and about. So this is not to like dismiss that, but yeah, if it's like feasible for you, I do think that it could be cool to get out and about. And if it's not, then, if it's a situation where your means, like you don't have the means to like get around all over the place, or you're more comfortable at home or whatever, then just kind of like having a safety call, have somebody know like this is the person who I'm going to be spending time with. And I've even gotten a picture of somebody's ID before because like I'm about that life. And so I've sent, whoever my safety call was, I've sent them a picture of the person's ID like, hey, this is who I'm going to be with, or send them their picture and their information like this is who I'm going to be with. So, it's ways to kind of like, try to be as safe as you can. Okay, so another thing that I would say is a dating tip. So the first one was, meet in a public place or, just be safe as you can. My next tip would be to pay close attention to how they treat service staff. This may not be something that is significant to everybody, so I'll preface it with that. However, it's something that's very meaningful to me. I care about how people view and treat folks who are in areas of service. So, your servers, your bartenders, the folks who are doing the cleaning, your room service folks, whoever it is, the cashier, the whatever, whoever's serving in a kind of customer service capacity, service industry workers. I think that the way that people treat them it says a lot about a person's character and about their values. I can't fuck with someone who treats service industry workers poorly. I just can't do it. To me, it's an immediate turnoff. I had a situation where I was actually out on a date, and the chick I was out with, she caught an attitude. She was just being nasty to our server, and I felt like she was treating her like she felt like the server was her damn maid or her personal servant. And I feel like a lot of people have that attitude. And when I saw that, first of all, I went off on her because I was like, you got her fucked up, you got me fucked up, you got this whole situation fucked up, treating someone like this. And I ended the date because it was an immediate turnoff for me. I just can't. But I think that it, kind of shows, whether this person has any type of like superiority complex or if they're elitist, if they look down on service workers and stuff like that. And I'm just like, it's a problem, so I'm not with it. So that would be that is one of my dating tips, is to pay close attention to how they treat service staff. I think it's so important. Yeah, I have definitely even somebody I'm just cool with, I've stopped being someone's friend because of how they treated service staff. I'm like, you just being nasty to people. You feel like they're your personal servant. You just, I can't because I just feel like it says a lot about you and I'm not feeling that. All right. So my next tip would be to trust your gut. Don't ignore red flags. I have absolutely been guilty of ignoring red flags, kind of not feeling right about something and still going along with it or still moving forward. And, then in hindsight, of course, being like, oh, well, I knew that didn't feel right. I knew that made me uncomfortable. And honestly, it took me quite a few experiences of doing that before I got to a point where I realized I was doing it and where I was like, okay, I have to stop, because it just put me in really uncomfortable situations, and unnecessarily so, I didn't have to be in those situations, but because I was too afraid to trust my gut, because I doubted my intuition, then I ended up in situations that made me really uncomfortable. So if you're not comfortable with something, I would say that that's completely valid to acknowledge that with yourself and, respond accordingly. If something really bothers you, or if you feel like you need to speak on something, don't ignore those feelings. We have those kind of little alerts, kind of internal alerts or whatever, for a reason. So don't ignore those things, because I think that oftentimes they really are key in helping us to kind of filter through the bullshit and remove ourselves from situations that we are not ultimately comfortable with. Okay, so there's that. My next tip would be to utilize a particular resource. And this doesn't have to be like, oh, do this before the first date or whatever, but I think it's something that can be really helpful. And that's the love languages quiz and the apology language quiz. I think that that's something that can be so useful, so helpful in regards to dating, because if you know what this person's love language is, then you kind of know how to engage with them in a way that they will receive as loving. You might be someone who's very physically affectionate. However, if physical is not their top love language, then that may not resonate with them in the way that it does with you. And so I think that if we are attentive and we make sure that we kind of like, we engage with people in a way that speaks to them as opposed to just doing what we want to do, we can kind of have more effective communication and help each other to really feel reciprocity when we're dating. So I think that those particular tools, the love languages and the apology language quizzes, serve as like a conversation starter to be able to discuss those things and to be able to kind of compare and contrast. And, you know, it's a way to get to know someone. And you can say, okay, well, I see like your top love language is quality time. So it's not for you. It's not about like, oh, everything being all touchy feely. What makes you feel loved is you getting that quality time. So let's plan to do this, this, and this. Like it really does kind of help you to have at least a general idea of what is a fit for that person and what speaks to them. And it is, I feel like a great conversation starter. And it isn't limited to dates. I feel like it's beneficial in friendships as well, in relationships with family members. I think it's important to understand how the people you love, how they receive love and what resonates with them in regards to that. So I think it's helpful across the board, and it's something that like I just really think it's a great tool. So that would be a tip of mine, is to utilize that. It's free to take the quiz. It's just the 5 love languages. You can take the quiz, and the apology language quiz is on the same site. And whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship or whatever, you can take it and just kind of see what you get. And it's something that cool that you could do with your friends too, and be like, hey, what's your love language? So you know, if your friend's love language is acts of service, then let's say for their birthday, you do something that kind of helps make their life easier. Like, let me get someone to organize your office because I know that that's been stressing you out, as opposed to let me just buy you a necklace. You know what I mean? Like for some people, gifts might be their love language, but if it's not, then it may just be helpful so that we know like what to actually do for that person so that they feel love, and it's in a way that they can receive, in a way that they can receive most effectively, I guess I should say. All right, so my very last tip, okay, is it's 2019. Don't get catfished. Don't be like me 15 years ago, okay? The fact that y'all catfish is still on the air, it blows my mind. I'm like, how the hell is anybody still getting catfish in this day and age? It is the year of our Lord 2019. We should be done with this. Shouldn't nobody be getting catfish. We have too many technological advancements. It's just too much. So yeah, that'll be my last tip. Don't get catfish, y'all. Don't do that. Not good. We too old and too grown for all that. We don't need to be getting catfish in these streets in 2019. All right, y'all. So that is it. You know, a little short and sweet situation. But I just wanted to do like a topic that was a little bit more fun. Of course, there are, different places we could go to with this topic that may be a little darker. And it's something that can be circled back to. But I just thought it would be cool for y'all to share your experiences. And, I'll tell y'all a little bit more of my business. And y'all know that your girl got catfish, so don't judge me. I was young. That's going to be my excuse. I was 16, so cut me some slack. But yeah. So, as usual, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding when I take breaks and, I skip a week or two because life is real. And sometimes, your girl gets overwhelmed or just busy and I lose track of time. And I'm just like, oh shit, like I need to record. I need to get it together. So life just happens. So thank you for your understanding. I appreciate it. And until next time, that's it, y'all. I am out. Black Radical Queer is a ManeHustle Media podcast hosted by Jhavia Nicole. BRQ is produced and edited by Charmaine Fury, and the show's theme music was created by The Brothers Records. You can connect with us on Twitter or Instagram at Black Rad Queer. That's BLK RAD QWR. You can also connect with us on Facebook through the Black Radical Queer Podcast Facebook fan page or the BRQ discussion group. You can get Black Rad Queer merch on teespring.com/Black Rad Queer, BLK RAD QWR. And you can leave a voicemail, call in, ask a question, those types of things on the BRQ Google Voice line. And that number is 937-601-8647.
ManeHustle Media. Turn your side hustle into your main hustle.